Welcome to NAC TV's Seniors Update in the area. I'm Liway Cabrera, providing some updates about recent events for seniors here in the town of Neepawa and surrounding areas. According to the demographic profile of older Manitobans released by the Manitoba government in February 2023, over half, or 51.2% of Manitobans over the age of 65 related their health as excellent or very good. However, 54 to 62% of Manitobans over 55 years are inactive or walking less than half an hour a day. Approximately one quarter, or 24.4% of Manitobans over 65 feel isolated from others often, which is a higher proportion than any other province in Canada. Indigenous seniors are considered at high risk of experiencing social isolation due to factors such as racism, marginalized language, culture, poverty, and historic negative experiences. Just recently, the Home Assistant Neepawa District, or HAND, our local non-profit organization in the area that provides support services to seniors 55 plus and persons with disabilities, organized a Senior and Health and Wellness Day to address some of the current issues and concerns of our seniors in the area. According to Michelle Kasprick, current HAND coordinator, she felt the need to invite some organizations that could provide information to some of the most inquiries she receives in the office. She also invited speakers for two topics, which are fraud and scam prevention and Lifeline Presentation, which are mostly caused by seniors' isolation. In this video, we have put together our interview with the HAND coordinator, highlights of the Seniors and Health Wellness Day, and the presentations of the Lifeline by Vicky Rosenholt and Fraud and Scam Prevention by Mark Morehouse. Yeah, we're here with Michelle Kasprick of HAND. So yeah, what's happening here today at Arts Forward?
We're having a seniors health fair today, and there's about 10 kiosks, I would say, just addressing different subjects that I often get questions about, but I might not have all the answers. So we've got representatives from the Alzheimer's Society of Canada and from Palliative Care and Handyman and fraud and scam prevention and many more. So it's just kind of like a one-stop shop for everybody, so they can come and get the information that they need. And we've got a couple of presentations today too. Fraud and scam prevention with Mark Morehouse and a Lifeline presentation with Vicky Rosenholt, who's the education facilitator for Lifeline.
Okay, so do you do this like yearly or just?
I've never done one before.
Oh, this is
in
the
my
first
life.
time. Okay, wow, that's good to know.
Yeah, so I think it would be kind of a neat thing to do every couple of years, just to keep people up to date and make sure that, everyone gets the information that they need.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks.
Well, that's what time is our start? But then Barb said she was glad she was there.
It's okay.
going to start the next presentation here. So mine is going to be on fraud for seniors. For those who don't know me, I'm Mark Morehouse. I retired from the RCMP, had 36 years with the RCMP, and now I'm just doing a couple days a week with bylaw officer in Neepawa. It's been a while since I gave one of these talks, so you'll have to bear with me. I've got some notes here that I'll be going through. And any questions that you want to ask, please ask at any time. And if I don't have the answer right now, I will get it for you, give it to Michelle, and get back to you that way. So just feel free to ask at any time. So one of the big things with the frauds, I was asked, what's one of the major frauds that we have? Well, I talked to the guys at the office over here in Neepawa, and it's still the same as what it was before, is that call that comes in the middle of the night to grandparents saying, oh, it's your nephew or your grandson that's in trouble, please send money down to them. That's all a scam. They won't ask you to send money. In Canada, you have to go and write on papers, sign your name. If you're putting some bail up for somebody, they do not have it so that you can send them money and they can get out. You have to be there in person and sign up. So please, please, please don't send any money. It's all a scam. One of the big things is we ask people to do now, and this has happened quite a bit here in Neepawa, I know of, and I've known people who have given money, up to $2,000 to get their son or grandson out. I know some people who have given, when it comes to Bitcoin and stuff like that, they say, just put it into Bitcoin, and there's a couple places in Brandon where you have to go, there's none here in Neepawa right now, but people's given up to $5,000 or more in Bitcoin from Neepawa. They've gone down and put it in. One big thing about Bitcoin, if it's there, you'll never see it. It's hard to trace, and it always goes to different countries. So Bitcoin is, you must kiss your money goodbye right away, because we will not be able to find it, for sure. A couple of statistics. In Canada, we have, for fraud, $75 million a year in Canada. That's in 2022. Out of that, the victims were 7,900. Now in the States, a little bit different. It's $8.8 billion in the States, and that's a 44% increase over the previous year itself. So it is there. It's here to stay. It's not going away. And please, please, please just be very careful when you're getting those calls or asking questions or somebody's saying they're the banks, the CRA, all of that. So we'll go right into the presentation here. Financial abuse. Financial abuse is the most common form of elder abuse. It occurs when an individual steals from an elder or takes advantage of them financially. Elder abuse can be perpetrated by strangers, but financial abuse typically occurs at the hands of somebody known and trusted by the older adult, such as a spouse, another family member, friends, neighbors, landlords, caregivers, and service providers. When someone steals money, pension checks, or personal belongings, lives with an older adult and does not pay their fair share of expenditures, uses the older adult's credit card and bank card without permission, or signs checks in their name, pursues the older adult into making major financial decisions like selling their home or giving away their money. Protecting yourself from financial abuse. Make sure information about your financial accounts or legal documents is up to date. Protect your financial and personal information by keeping it in a safe place, like a drawer with a lock or safe deposit box. Don't share your passwords, personal information, your PINs, bank cards, or credit cards. Do financial transactions yourself if you can. For example, you can use online and phone services if it is difficult for you to leave home. So, I don't know if anybody uses the phone for banking or anything like that, or on the internet that way, or with a computer. But you can do that very easily. I can do it, so if I can do it, I know you guys can. Set up direct deposits for pension checks and have payments for your bills and expenses come from your bank account or credit cards so you can monitor transactions more easily. Get legal advice by signing important documents. Keep a record of the money you give to others and not whether it is a loan or a gift. Some types of financial scams, and there's quite a few of them. Subscription traps. So if anybody's applying for magazines or anything like that, a lot of those are scams. And we don't seem to see who the winner is. Don't seem to see them around here. But it is, subscription traps usually occur being offered a free or low-cost trial for a product service like weight loose pills, health foods, anti-aging products, and entering your card information to cover shipping costs. After accepting the monthly subscription, it may be difficult, possible, or impossible for you to get your money back, or you get the subscriptions. And I can tell you one for myself alone. I did apply for something on the internet not long ago. I got the first order of product, and that was it. And that's all I had put in for. And then I went and I never checked my credit card. When it came in that month, I just paid it. Next month, I thought, oh, I'm going to check this. So there was a transaction on there for $187 US, and then there was another one for $280 some US. So first of all, I was scammed right away. I called up the credit card company, and they started an investigation through that themselves, and they're going to see if they can stop or me get the money back. Chances of me getting that money back might be nil. I never get any more product from them, which I didn't want anyway afterwards. But that's the scams that they do is once you sign up for something like that and put it in for, you get it for 1 month, they continue on, and continue on. So watch your credit card bills. When they come in, just double check them. If you have got something from a company, watch it to make sure they don't do it from month to month to month, because they will. And the product that I got, supposedly, it was supposed to be from the States, and it came in from, it was over in Finland. And then when I checked on the credit card, it was from Finland again. So it's gone from one country to another. So it does happen, and it can happen to anybody. Types of financial scams. Okay, stop and think before entering your credit card information. Resist high pressure sales, which tactics is they use all the time, and they won't say no for an answer. And I know at our office, sometimes what we do is keep them on the line and put the phone down. And they're on the line for half an hour and they're still trying to talk and they're asking us questions. And of course, everyone's supposed to say, yeah, yeah. So we're trying to inconvenience them too, is what we try to do. It's maybe not a good idea, but at the police office it seemed to be a good idea. And then when you say you're a police officer, they hang up the phone right away. So maybe try that. Questions, statements, and slogans that seem to be too good to be true, this probably is. Because some of these guys are pretty good salesmen and gals. They're out there and they know how to talk, and they talk up a storm, and not just because we're all getting elderly, is that we're trustworthy. You guys are in that age that you trust from days before, and that now is probably a no-no when it comes to anything like this. It's not a good thing to say, but it's out there, and it's here to stay. Find and read the terms and conditions. If you can't find or understand the terms and conditions, don't sign up for any trial basis. Clicking proceed to checkout or complete my order may automatically add more product to your order. They can do that, and then they charge you more. To avoid further charges, look for fine print. Do an online search of the company or product with the words complete and scam to help for potential issues. Usually previous victims with post or forms is certain companies or products are scams. You can use a blocker to hide social media ads, pop-up surveys, and sponsored news articles. So you can do that. Search first before you do anything. And again, the Bitcoin is a big thing right now. And but that, again, like I said before, that's going, you're not going to get anything back from Bitcoin. You can try to get something back from the credit cards, but it has to be investigated. And in my case, where I've ordered once, that might stop me from getting my money back for probably $400 and some US. So that would stop me, I think. But at least it's being investigated. Report it right away. Identity theft. Identity theft is when scammers attempt to collect or reproduce your personal information to commit fraud. Online scammers use spyware and viruses or hacking and punishing techniques to get this information. Offline, you can go through trash bins or steal your mail. When these scammers acquire information such as your bank account details, full name and signature, or social insurance number, you can make purchases with your accounts. Apply for loans or mortgages, obtain GST, HST, rebates and refunds, benefits and credit card payments, or income tax refunds, obtain a passport, etc. You should contact a regular review of your credit card report and do so immediately if you think personal information has been compromised. So just with that alone, with identity theft, they'll take your identity, they'll run with it. We've had that happen here before, and like I say, it does add up very, very quick. These scammers are in it to make $1 quick as they can. So sometimes they'll do it for a month and take it and run with it, and you won't know how much money is gone. And I had one person here one time in Neepawa, it's been probably about 4 years ago, or pre-COVID I should say, and over $100,000 was taken. So they lost $100,000, and that is not returnable. It's gone. We can't get it back. And that went over to England, that money. There are several ways to avoid credit fraud, debt, and debit. Chip cards in Canada are federally regulated. Financial institutions must decline any magnetic strip transactions. All newly issued Canadian credit cards have a computer chip that makes transactions more secure. The computer chip works with your PIN to make sure you are the one permitting each transaction. This helps protect you against fraud if someone steals your card. So that is some of the safety guards that they have come in, is the computer chip and the strip, magnetic strip. Keep your PIN secret. Choose a PIN that is difficult to guess. 1, 2, 3, 4 is probably not a good idea, but I think sometimes the fraudsters right now are saying, well, it can't be 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's so simple, so we're going to try everything else. But I know some people who do use 1, 2, 3, 4. So I make sure you change it every so often. Avoid writing your PIN down and trying to memorize it instead. If you need to write your PIN down, make sure you keep it in a safe place. If you choose to contact your credit debit card to your phone, make sure you have phone passcodes and keep the passcodes a secret. So if you're anything like me, I write my passwords down. I put them somewhere that I can't remember where they're at. So. But try to remember it and don't carry them on you, because if you lose your wallet, your purse, anything like that, anybody gets it, they're going to try anything. And now with the magnetic strip and the code on a debit card, you can go up and you can charge up to $200 anytime. So you just don't have to have the password, you just tap it, right? Tap and go is the big thing. So you got to be careful of that. Usually what happens if it's any transactions, and I used mine in different places here not long ago, and I did get a call, which was great, from the bank, the institute, saying that this credit card was used here, and then it was used here, or debit card here, and here, and here. And yeah, that was me. So I was happy with that. I was glad they called too. Some may call, some may not call, but they called and let me know that where it was being used. And that was fine. Like I say, it was myself. Protect yourself from credit card fraud when on the telephone by also doing the following. Avoid giving out credit card information over the phone if you're in a public place or you think someone else may be listening. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm pretty paranoid when it comes to that because I worked downtown Toronto for 11 years as well, and I was one of the guys that got telephone numbers and everything else from Colombian drug lords that was happening down in Colombia and in Canada at the same time. So I know how easy it is to get these phone numbers. And I was in the phone booth right beside somebody. It was payphones that they used, and I just called it out to my superiors. The next thing we did a big takedown in Colombia and in Toronto, and got a big shipment of drugs. So if I can do it, it's that easy. People's all around. They always put people in different places and try to, especially if elderly people are around, they'll put people in, if you're using the phone, or sometimes you're going up and cameras are on the SCART or scanners from the banks. So they have a little chip that they have used before, the fraudsters, and they put in there and they can pick up your card number, your PIN number. They can pick that up. So they'll use that. And it has been used a lot in Brandon. Not so much, I don't think here, but I know it has been used in Brandon. So it takes a picture, they go in and the night after or whatever, take that chip out, and they've got all these numbers that you use by tapping in on your PIN. So just be careful of your surroundings when you're going in there. And usually if somebody's in getting money out of a bank machine, I usually wait until they come out before I go in, or I make sure no one comes in behind me, because they can stand there and they can pick it up. They've all got ways, and that's what they do for a living. That's how they do it. So just be careful. Health and medical scams. The most common health and medical scams are miracle cures, weight loss programs, and fake online pharmacies. In these types of scammers are alternative medicine and treatments that seem to treat serious conditions quickly and easily, or other services that seem legitimate. These may be endorsed by celebrities or backed up by testimonial or individuals who claim to have the cure. We never know if it's true, if it's not true. The old saying, if it's too good to believe, it's probably not true, right? One of those. And it happens on TV, it happens on the internet. I don't know if everybody saw one of the big ones right now too is the weight loss. You take the gummy bears and you're going to lose all this weight in a certain period of time. And it's endorsed by Oprah and some actors and stuff that's there. Of course, everybody knows Oprah, and that they follow her, they love her, and so they said, well, it's good for her, and she has lost weight and everything else. Well, it's got to be true. It's not true. Best thing is go to your doctor and see what the cure is from that. That's the best thing. Business scams. There are several types of business scams. The first is directory scams. A directory scam is when a scammer sends your company a proposal for listing an advertisement in a magazine, journal, or business directory. They will call to confirm your company's details, and then the accounts department will receive and pay the bill, unaware that your company never ordered or authorized the service. The second is health and safety products scam. In this type of scam, you may receive a call from somebody claiming to be from the provincial government, telling you to update your company's health and safety training or to replace your first aid kits. In both cases, you may be told to act quickly. The third business scam is the office supply scam. In this type of scam, you may receive and be charged for items that you don't order. Scammers will often hound you to pay the amount they claim you owe, and may go as far as to claim that you will be reported to the collections agency if you do not agree. And that may not apply to anybody here for businesses, but if some people have home businesses and sell little things like that, you could be getting those type of scams. The other is phishing and smishing scams. Phishing is defined as receiving unsolicited scam emails that claim to be from legitimate organizations like financial institutions, businesses, or government agencies. Scammers ask you to provide or verify your personal or financial information, credit card number, password, social insurance number, by email or by checking on the web. Smishing is the same as phishing, but occurs by text messages. Tax scams. Tax scams are scams in which you get a message from the CRA, and we've all probably got those. The CRA will not call you and say you owe this much money, and if you don't pay up, there's a warrant for your arrest, and the RCMP will be coming for you. No, we will not be coming for you. We don't tell you we're coming for you. If we're going to arrest somebody, what we do is we get a warrant or whatever, and we go and do it. We're not going to let you know so you can run from your house. You know, we're not stupid. Sometimes. But that's the big thing. The CRA will never, ever, ever call you and ask you for payment of anything. They won't ask for a check. They won't ask you for your SIN number. They won't do that. If it's a CRA, and they say you owe money in back taxes or anything else, they already have your SIN number. They're not going to ask you again for it. So if they ever call you, just remember, they have it. They don't need to know. And sometimes they'll ask for the last 4 numbers. Don't give them that, because they can get it back, and that's when identity fraud starts all over again. So don't give them any numbers from your SIN number. Never, 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 never. And one of the big things they say too, not to do with that, is you shouldn't carry it with you in your wallet, your purse, on your person. Your SIN number should be staying at home. You don't need it for anything. You don't need your passport. Same with your passport. You need your passport for anything. If you're going shopping downtown, you don't need that. Lock it up. Keep it separate. Because once they get your SIN number, you're going to get identity theft. That's the big one. Door-to-door scams. Door-to-door salespersons use high-pressure tactics to convince you to buy a product or sign up for a service you don't want or need. These are often for charitable donations, investment opportunities, or home services and appliances maintenance. In many cases, you may receive the product or service promised. If you do, the product or service are of low quality. And I know that has happened here. I know it's gone door to door. When I was working with the RCMP, we've had several calls on that, going door to door, people, salesmen. First of all, they have to register with the town office. They have to have something from them saying they can go door to door in town. They can't just come in town and start going door to door. Then they'll have their name tag and that, and they're really pressure. Well, think about it first. And a lot of them was alarms in houses. They were coming door to door, putting alarms in houses and selling people the product. And some they got didn't work. Some they did get, and we said, okay, yeah, the RCMP will be here. Anybody who gives a home alarm system, it is not the RCMP's job to attend your home and see about your alarm. The people who sell the alarm, they have to have people who's going to go and look at the call if the call comes out. Not saying we won't go, but we do not have to go to your house. Now, if we have break-ins in some places, especially in the country, and it's happened a couple times, yeah, we're going to go. We're going to go to that. The only thing the alarms that the RCMP have to go for is schools and financial institutions. The rest is individually sold out, like businesses and stuff. It's the company who sells them is supposed to provide the protection. So it's not the police that provides the protection. Smaller areas, the police will go, but the police do not provide that protection. It's the alarm company supposed to. Where are we here? Okay, the emergency scams, again, that we discussed a little bit, is starting with a grandparent receiving a phone call from a con artist claiming to be the grandchild. The grandchild claims to be in trouble, in jail, or in a car accident, struggling to return home from a foreign country, and in need of money immediately. They will ask you to questions to gain your personal information and swear you to secrecy, saying you are embarrassed and don't want other family members to find out what's going on. Common claims for scammers, again, are a grandchild in trouble, a lawyer or a police officer, or an old neighborhood friend, family member that's in trouble. So I shouldn't say we now, I'm not one anymore, but as police officers, they will not call you up again and ask you for money to get somebody out. That again, it has to go through the courts. Police will not take cash money of any sort. They do not do that. Everything has to be, if we wrote a ticket tomorrow, that ticket automatically goes right into Winnipeg, and then the province collects the money. Money is not collected by the RCMP. The only thing that they'll collect money for is your security clearance for criminal record checks, basically. And that has to go in the bank, and there's a record of that. So that goes into a federal account. So that again, like I said, we've had so many of those when I was working about the calls for the grandchildren, sons and that. What I suggest, especially I know it's sometimes these calls come at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, is call up your daughter or your son, or if you know where your grandson lives or whatever, call him up, because we did that, and the grandson said, no, I'm home. And the grandparent had already sent money. She sent $300 right away. And they won't ask you for like credit cards for this. They'll ask you for different ways of money, getting a money order itself, anything that turns into cash right away that you haven't got a chance to go and cancel your credit card, get a reverse on that. So they'll ask for cash right up front. A lot of them is the loony cards, and they usually ask for nominations of $50, $100, and $200 ones. I went to a house here in Neepawa where a lady, very trustworthy lady, was being scammed. One person tried to get her to stop. She said, no, it's my nephew. He lives out of the country. I want to give him the money so he can get back. The lady kicked this person out of the house. He came to the office. I went down and talked to her, and she said, no, it's true. It's not a scam. So this person called up. She had $1,000 out, and she'd already scratched $350 off that he had because it gave him the numbers, and he took that. I answered the phone the next time and told him, no, this is a scam. I said, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to her. And he said, well, you're talking to me. You're not talking to her anymore. And he said, well, the nephew. And I said, I know it's not the nephew because I'm the nephew. I'm here. And I said, did she tell you your nephew was a police officer? You're not a police officer. I'm going to have you charged for impersonating a police officer. I said, by all means, please do so. But we got her to stop scratching those money cards. And a lot of places here in town, I know like the Safeway, even the post office, we've had lots of elder people go in there and to get the money to buy the cards, and they're saying, are you sure this is really what you want to do? And they will phone us. They phone the police and tell them that, hey, this person was in and they got these cards and they're thinking that they're being scammed. The post office refused not to sell them to the person. The person got mad at the post mistress over there, and a few words were said, but in the long run, I think she apologized at the end because it was a scam. So it does happen, and a few of these places are catching on that we're not selling to elderly in a big amount of money. And usually it's a minimum of $1,000 is when they go. So, and it's all in, like I said, the small nominations of cards with the 50s, 100s, and $200 worth in one card. So just be careful of that. And if they, especially if they want money now, I've never seen any financial institution, CRA, they will bill you or that. They won't ask you for the money up front, and you have to do it right now, and it's high pressure pitch. That doesn't happen. They don't do that. None of them. So if you get anything like that, it's most likely a scam. And if you do get it, call our guys, the RCMP. Call it right away. Let them know what's going on. We may be able to trace it. We may not. Because there's, I think it's in here, I'll go through it too, spoof numbers. So they can get a number, and they may be calling from the UK, and the number that will show up will be a Neepawa number. And one time I had one call me, and I thought, that number's familiar. It was my number. So I know it's a scam right away. And they called me on the police phone. So I don't know how they get that. You know, anything's out there for sale, especially when you get it on the, if you're on your internet or anything like that, anything they can find goes up for grabs. Some agencies, if you apply for something, what they'll do is they'll sell that off to the highest bidder, and now they've got your information, and they'll start from there. They'll get that information, and they'll go on from there to see what they can get and who they can get. Now they may call 50 people, but if they get one, that's a win for them. That's a win. And we want them to be losers, not winners, these scammers. The big thing with the purchases of merchandise and stuff, fraud accounts and legitimate accounts sites are online, marketplace advertised the products and very low prices. If you do receive something, it may be a poor quality or a bad, did I just go over that one already? Bad ammunition, or what you ordered, or what you originally ordered. Any type of purchase or merchandise scam is being lured into clicking on sponsored links that direct you to a website that seems genuine, but your information is unprotected, and the services that legitimate websites offer are unavailable. When buying something online, always remember the seller must provide you with the name and the contact information, a detailed description of the product and the services, total price, including taxes and any extra charges, currency, whether it's in Canadian, US, UK, delivery date and time, shipping method and company, and exchange return policy. They have to provide you with that. Does everybody ask for that? I didn't ask for it, and I probably should have. And maybe I wouldn't be in the state of losing up to $600. So, and that's US. So add on to that. When banking or shopping online, look for websites with addresses starting with HTTPS, or ones that have a padlock image on the address bar. These are signs that your information will be secured. Sales of merchandise scam. A scammer who agrees to buy your items without seeing it, you will get a notification that claims the payment is pending, but the money will not be released until you provide a tracking number for the goods. You will only learn that the payment notification was fake after you have shipped the merchandise. You may get paid with a fraudulent check or a stolen credit card. Other ways sale of merchandise scams occur is when the scammer tells you that there is an issue with your PayPal or bank account. You need to pay a fee to obtain the business account to complete the transaction. The scammer offers to pay the fee if you reimburse them using a transfer of wire service. If you agree and pay, the money for the fee goes straightly to them. Now, this has happened quite a few times. People have paid up front that way, and that's all that the scammer will get is that money that you give them. So, and they'll go on to the next person and see what they can get from the next person and the next person. It just goes on down the line, down the line. You won't get any product, you won't get anything. Canada Bureau Services Agency, the CBSA scam. If a CBSA scammer will claim your online purchase was blocked at the border, goods were found to be illegal. After they make the claim, they will demand immediate payment or state that you will face arrest or potential jail time. They will never do that. The Canadian Border Security agencies will never, never, ever do that. They're like the CRA. They're not going to ask you for that. Again, if it is something that is illegal, you'll be seeing a person in uniform in a white police car. But they're not going to tell you they're coming. They're just going to show up, get the package that was, if it is from the border, if it did happen, they're going to get the package from the border and then go and have a talk with you. The CBSA will never call, text, or email you asking for your SIN number or credit card information. They will never, ever do that. Pet scams. Believe it or not, there's lots out there. Scammers use pet scams, will usually offer low prices to buy a pet, pressure you to complete the transaction quickly, and use insecure payment methods, sometimes with attempts to get more money out of the buyer through other expenses. So that is happening more and more that we've noticed with pet scams. COVID-19 related scams. So COVID-19 scams have changed, although the same methods may be used, they have been adapted to fit the current state of our world. Phone scams and text message scams, fraudulent calls that appear to be from the Government of Canada or the Public Health Agency of Canada. These calls claim you have tested positive for COVID. Text message scams include texts for the Canada Relief Fund and COVID-19 Relief Fund, or appears to be from the Canadian Red Cross pushing emails. These emails appear to be from federal government agencies offering money, or from the World Health Organization suggesting you open and read their attachments on protecting yourself from COVID. That doesn't happen. They don't ask for money. If anybody asks for money because of COVID, it's through these scams. Again, it is a scam. Never have I ever heard of any country asking for money for COVID-19. People can make donations where they want at different places, but no one's going to call you up and ask for donations. And COVID-19 is out there, it's on the rise again, so this could be starting back up, who knows. Fake websites and charities scams. Websites are made to look like Public Health Agencies of Canada sites. They state that they are giving away masks and gloves in exchange for a donation. I haven't seen that happen. I mean, Government of Canada's come out and give everybody, different towns even, I know at the town office they give them lots of masks and everything that they were giving out. Hospitals, they had masks. Health services places had masks that they're giving out. They're not going to ask you for donations. Never. Online shopping, scam pages selling masks, hand sanitizer and products to super clean your house. They may state that they are selling COVID-19 tests. Important note, COVID tests cannot be purchased. So tests are all free. You're not supposed to be purchasing them. They're there for a reason and to help everybody out. And one of the big ones that we have had, romance scams. So you romancers. And that's during the COVID-19 pandemic. Romance scams have been on the rise. These particular types of scams can look very difficult in many instances. A scammer might send you messages and photos of themselves, or use catfishing or legitimate dating sites. Catfishing is when a scammer claims to look or buy someone or be someone who they are not. Scammers may gain your trust and confidence and convince you to enter into an online relationship. Once they gain your trust, a scammer may ask for money for travel or medical emergency or family assistance, to join a business venture with them, or to invest in cryptocurrency. Scammers of romance scams are usually very experienced and use technology to their advantage. We've had a few. And I know one guy that sent over $10,000 to bring a lady across from the Philippines. That never happened. He was out 10 grand. He paid it on his credit card, so he never got the money back because he enforced it that way. And he still believed, probably to this day, and that's been a couple of years ago, that she is going to come. So she hasn't arrived yet, so it's a slow boat. Another type of romance scam is when scammers create fake dating sites where you must pay for each message you send and receive. They send vague emails about their love and desire for you to keep you paying. To make these scams seem more legitimate, arrangements to meet up in person may be made, but never really happen. Common signs of romance scams may include when someone you haven't met in person professes their love to you, when someone online wants to quickly remove or move to the private or difficult modes of communication, email, text, WhatsApp, Google, Handouts, etc. When the individual online always has an excuse not to meet in person, when the individual seems poorly, oddly written messages, sometimes even addressing you by the wrong name. That does happen, but people still think it's okay. When the individual claims to live close to you but is working overseas, when the individual acts distressed or angry to guilt you into sending money, and when the individual discourages you from discussing them or their situation with your friends and family, attempting to isolate you from those who may be suspicious of the relationship. And this one person who did the romance scam that I was talking about, I talked to him several times about it, and he still said, no, this is not happening, she's coming over. But again, she hasn't today. What to do if you're a victim of cyber scams or financial abuse. Many senior victims of cyber scam and financial abuse do not want to come forward, since the most common perpetrator is someone you know. If you are a victim of financial abuse, speak to someone you trust about what is going on. If you do not have a person who can help you, you can use community resources. You can go to your bank or credit union, your local elder center, or your doctor to ask for advice. If you do not decide to file a report, contact your local police. Or if you do decide to file a report. We always like to know if anything like this is going on, because you might not be the first one, or you could be the first one, but it gives us a chance of maybe starting to look into things. Some of the younger ones that we found here, we had the cyber scams that was going on, and it was out of Winnipeg. Ended up arresting 4 people out of that, and it happened right here in Neepawa. So it's one of those ones where you don't know, but report it anyway, because one could lead into another. Or it might be one of those cases where we already had 2 or 3, but this one might be the one that sets the ball of us getting the right information, or a little more piece of information that will put it all together. So report it, please report it. Now computers, I don't know if everybody's on computers are here or not. Some of the things, how to spot, avoid, and report tech support scams. Tech support scams want you to believe that you have a serious problem with your computer, like a virus. They want you to pay for the tech support services you don't need. To fix a problem that doesn't exist, they often ask you to pay by wire money, putting money on a gift card, prepaid card, or cash, reload card, or using cryptocurrency or a money transfer app, because they know those payments can't be traced. And it's hard to stop. Say the phone calls, tech support scams often call and pretend to be a computer technician from a well-known company. They say they found a problem with your computer, and that's happened so many times here in Neepawa. They technically asked you to give them remote access to your computer and then pretend to run a diagnostic test. So that does happen. Like I say, we've had so many of those. They then try to make you pay to fix the problem that doesn't exist. Listen to the undercover call with a tech support scam. So they have those, lots of calls come in, and we do have a section that goes in and tries to find out who this may be. I know if you're in a business or anything like that, you do have tech support hired for your company. Yeah, they go on the computers and they do the checks and everything else, same as we do from Ottawa. But anybody goes on and says they take control of your computer and fix it, the best thing is take your computer, if you have a problem, to a computer person that you know in town or elsewhere that's a reputable company. Don't give them access to your computer, because if they get access to your computer, one thing they're going to do is get access to all your accounts, get all your passwords. Of course, they're going to know where they're going to live. And a lot of people, big thing, they post pictures of their kids, grandchildren, and they post them in front of their house so they know their house number. Usually the house number shows up. Big thing if grandparents are going on a trip and stuff like that. What we have found out, if you're away on the trip, you take pictures. Some people post them before they ever get back. Don't post them until you get back, because if you're posting and you're away, people know you're not home. And big thing what they do, and they have done, they go and they break into your home. They take everything that you can get. One of our big things that we had when I was working was, it was around Christmas time, and people going around stealing, breaking into houses, stealing all the Christmas gifts. And they take if they had a dog, these guys were scared of dogs. I'm not going to say where they're from, Sandy Bay or anything like that. They were scared of dogs. And they would get an animal, kill an animal, put the animal there, go into the house, the dogs be tied up, they'd take all the gifts. But also we found a book in a stolen vehicle. It was an auto trader, and they had circled these different vehicles they were looking for, and they would call up the person who had the ad, and they would ask him, yes, we can come over right today. Oh no, I'm not going to be there today. I'm away today. I'll be back tomorrow. How about 2 o'clock? They go that day and steal whatever they want. So that does happen, and it's out there to stay. So pictures, if you're taking pictures or anything like that, make sure you post them when you come back from a holiday, or if your child is living away and you're visiting them. Post them when you come back, not when you're gone, because that way no one knows that your house is vacant. And they will try everything. Pop-up warnings. Tech support scammers, they try to trick you with a pop-up window that appears on your computer screen. It might look like an error message from your operation system and antivirus software, and it might use logos from trusted companies and websites. The message in the window warns you about a security issue on your computer. So that happens so many times. The best thing is to go in and update your virus on your computer, get it updated every so often to make sure that it's there, and that will block out those scams that come in. Online ads, listings, and searches result pages. Tech support scammers try to get their website to show up in online searches resulting from tech support, or they might run their own ad online. The scammers are hoping you call the phone number to get the help. So if you call that phone number, that gives them two things to know about that is call that number, they can pick up, they get your number first of all, and they can go into that number, they can get different information from your accounts into your phone. They pick up also, or in your computer, they'll pick up everything from your accounts to where you live, to your passwords, same as the phone itself. So they can do that. And these scammers always seem to be one step ahead of everybody else. Once you think you've got something and you got it blocked, within weeks they're back up running again on something different. We had one that happened in India, it's going through Canada, the big thing, and they did the big takedown in India and they shut them right down. We thought, oh great, this is good. A week later, they were back up running again. So people were charged in that one, but it's still, there's so many people out there doing it. Legitimate tech companies won't contact you by phone, email, or text messages to tell you there's a problem with your computer. They will not call you. That's one thing they will not do. Security pop-up warnings from real tech companies will never ask you to call a phone number or click on a link. They'll never ask you that either. So what to do if you think you had a problem with your computer? If you think there may be a problem with your computer, update your security software, do that, and run a scan. If you need help fixing the problem, go to someone you know and trust. Many software companies offer support online or by phone. Stores at self-computer equipment also offer technical support in person. Stores, I should say. What to do if you were scammed? If you paid a tech support scammer with a credit card or debit card, you may be able to stop the transaction. Contact your credit card company and bank right away. Tell them what happened and ask if you can reverse the charges. And again, the credit card company and bank, they'll do a little investigation into that, and it might take a little bit, but they'll get back to you one way or the other. And usually with scammers, what we found with the computers, they will pay you back, get you back for that. If you pay a tech support scammer with a gift card, contact the company listed that issued the card right away. Tell them you paid a scammer with a gift card and ask if they can refund your money. Haven't heard that happening before, any company refunding money from gift cards. It may, but I haven't heard that happening. If you give a scammer remote access to your computer, update your computer security software. Then run a scan and delete anything it identifies as a problem. If you give your unnamed username and password to a tech support scammer, change your password right away. If you use the same password for other accounts or sites, change it also. Create a new password for every site. So make sure if it's the same password, and I know a lot of us probably use the same password because it's easy to remember, but it's good to have protection on that as well. So change it as you go along. Avoid tech support refund scams. If someone calls to offer you a refund for tech support services you paid for, it's likely a fake. refund scam. How does the scam work? The caller will ask if you were happy with the services you got. If you say no, they'll offer you a refund. In other variations, the caller says that the company is giving out refunds because it is good, it's going out of business. No matter the story, they're telling it's all fake. They never give a refund. They'll never give a refund. They're trying to steal more of your money. Don't give them your bank account, credit card, or other payment information. And like I say, we've been honest and trustworthy all our lives, and now is the time that the world is that you can't be that way. You just can't be that way. Now, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, you have one. What do you think of the PayPal? Like if you're paying through something through PayPal, is that a safe site?
I've heard both ways on PayPal. If you know for sure, yeah, you can try it. I haven't paid through PayPal. I've just heard a lot of negatives about it, but I've heard some people that has no problem with it.
No, I haven't had. I've used it,
Yeah.
but I haven't had problems with it.
Yeah, I haven't heard any, like I've heard, like say, people who have, and that's one of the reasons I haven't used it.
Yeah.
And I've heard one guy get tickets through PayPal through the Bombers game,
Oh, yeah.
and never received the tickets and never got the money back. Oh, it's like $300. So, but other people, like I said, I've heard it's never had a problem.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the scam that is going around now, that your phone will ring and you answer the phone and they'll say, "Can you hear me?"
Yeah,
If you say yes,
yeah. Say yes or no. Yeah, and
that's,
say something else if you want. And if you want to know that it's kind of more of a scam, if you say, "What are you saying?" I said say yes or no. And
that's right.
don't say yes, and don't say no. Once you say yes, they implement that into a verse where they can call your bank and you say yes, yes, that'll come up. And that will then, in turn, give them access to accounts, is what that will do.
I had a text a couple of weeks ago, and it said, "This may compromise your credit card, and here is the number to call." I never did anything. I just deleted it.
Right. And the one I had with mine is that I was telling you about, I called the number back because I was curious, and the lady answered, and I could hear, sounds like kids in the background, which was unnormal for a company. And she said, "No, I can't take your information now. You can call me tomorrow morning." Well, nobody's going to say that.
No.
They're not going to say that. So I didn't call in the morning, and she was going to call me back, and I've never heard from her since. So,
So what we normally do if we get a call, we don't know the number, we just hang up.
just hang up.
Yeah.
If you got call display, you don't know the number, hang up. If it's like, say, if it's Revenue Canada or anything like that, they're going to get a hold of you. That's not going to be a problem that way.
Yeah.
I did have some questions.
And we just moved into assisted living at KK2, and we have not given out our landline phone number to anyone,
Great.
and it rings,
Yeah.
so they've gone.
Yeah. And that landline is it, so it can't be, it's not publicized in a book or anything like that? The telephone book? Is it in the telephone book, or is your landline in a telephone book? The number?
No.
No. They can still do a Canada 911 check, and unless it's blocked, it will show up. And that's anywhere in Canada, you can get the number. And again, some of these companies, what they do, they sell your information, and they can get the number that way, if they're going to get it. But if it's no one that you know of, don't even answer it. One thing here says, can a scammer do anything with your phone number? Once scammers know your phone number, they can target you with pursuing texts and calls, or tricking you into downloading malware and giving out personal information. And once they gain access to your personal identification information, It doesn't take much more to access your financial and/or sensitive accounts. So they can do that. Another one, how do I report fraud anonymously in Canada? First step, report the matter to your local police if you wish to remain anonymous, or can also submit a tip to Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers, you don't have to give your name. Like we as police officers would not know your name, because when we get a tip from Crime Stoppers, we don't know where it comes from, just Crime Stoppers. And we act on the tip and try to find out what's going on. A couple more questions. Is it bad if a scammer knows my phone number? Savvy scammers know that by hijacking your mobile phone numbers, they can assume your identity, intercept security protocols sent to your phone, and gain access to your financial and social media accounts. So they can do that. Can someone hack your bank account with just your phone number? If someone steals your phone number, they become you. For all intended and purposes, with your phone number, a hacker can start hijacking your accounts one by one by having a password reset sent to your phone. They can trick automatic systems like your bank into thinking they're you when you call customer service. And that had started as early as 2018, December 25th. That started into effect. So they can do that. How does Service Canada contact you? The information you provide will be used by Service Canada to contact you by phone call. The provider information will never result in administrative decisions being made about you. Refusal to provide information will result in Service Canada being unable to contact you by phone. So that's Service Canada. How do I know if I am a victim of identity theft? 1, credit card or bank information that they have approved or declined your application and you never applied is 1. 2, you no longer receive your credit card statements in the mail. And 3, your credit card statement includes unusual purchases. How do I stop spam calls in Canada? And that's a big thing, spam calls. If you live in Canada, you can choose to reduce the number of telemarketing calls you receive by registering your residential, wireless, fax, or VoIP telephone numbers on the National Do Not Call list. So that is as of May 2023. You can do that. And I can leave this with Michelle at the end, and if there's anything there that's on this here questions, you can get the numbers or whatever. Can you go to jail in Canada for fraud? According to Section 380 of the Criminal Code of Canada, anyone who commits fraud is guilty of indictable offense and is subject to a prison term of no more than 14 years when the offense amount is more than $5,000. But they say one of the big things is somebody who does commit fraud up to $5,000 will get no jail time, or will get maybe a couple of months. Somebody who frauds an elder of $200,000 seems to get nothing. So that's one of the big things that they're trying to kibosh and see what they can do. But again, it's very, very hard to get some money back once it's out there. We've had not much luck ourselves in getting it back. And if it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then we're not equipped here in Neepawa to look after the big amounts, so it goes to our security system in Winnipeg, and then from there it could go on to Ottawa. But what we found is something like that happens, it goes, it's not just here where it's happening, And it might be the same people, they're getting a lot more money from other people, and it's just building up their bank accounts. That's what they're doing. Let's see. What happens if a scammer has my name and phone number? Scammers are persistent. If they know your name, address, and phone number, they can use this as a launching point to find out more about you, your online and your public database. For example, they can research your social media profiles or see if you are included in popular data broker lists. So they can do that as well. What if a scammer knows my name and phone number? Once someone has your data or details, they can gain access to any number of personal accounts. From there, they can get into your bank account, throttle through more personal information to learn more about you, and even access your identity. Okay. What can a scammer do with my email and phone number? Scammers use email or text messages to try to steal your passwords, accounts, or social security number. If they get the information, they can get access to your email, bank, and other accounts, or they can sell your information to other people. And that's what they do. They sell your information to other people. They're going to make money off it one way or the other. Is 877-477-5068 a CRA number? Because usually it'll come up that way. You can check the call number you receive, or you can check that the call you received was in fact from the CRA by calling 1-888-863-8657 for individual debt, or 1-877-477-5068 for GST, HST debts, or 1-877-548-6016 for payroll debt. How do I know if someone is using my SIN number? An indication that your SIN is being used fraudulently could be if the Canadian Revenue Agency sends you a notice of reassessment concerning undeclared earnings. This may mean that someone has used your SIN for employment purchases or to receive other taxable income. What is a SIN number in Canada? To work in Canada or access government programs and benefits, you need a 9-digit number known as social insurance number. Your SIN is private and is illegal for anyone else to use it. You are responsible for the protection of your SIN. So that was, as of this year, that's one of the big things that came up. Do banks refund scam money? Banks have a legal and ethical responsibility to refund scam money to their customers. However, you can't always get scam money back, whether it is a lack of evidence or human error on your part. Thieves can sometimes get away with your stolen funds. So, and I don't know how much effort the banks put into it, I'm not sure, but that's one of the big things that they don't want to pay money out either. Can the CRA look at your bank accounts? The CRA can access information from all Canadian financial institutions. However, they will not do so unless they have a reason to look at it. If they do have a reason, such as a check for undeclared investments income or registered accounts over contributions, they can access your bank account information. So they can do that, but it's got to be for a reason, it's not just to go in and look at it. Can scammers' phone numbers be traced? Spoof calls are nearly impossible to trace. However, they always recommend running a Google search on the phone number. Sometimes other people have complained about the number and have contact the number to a company. Other times you will directly find the number of the company associated with the call. So, like I say, spoof numbers are pretty hard to get. They may come back to a company that doesn't even know that their number's being used. So it is very, very hard to spoof numbers. Like I say, they can use it in the location that they're in, they'll use that first 3 numbers of your area that you're in. Is it safe to give the last 4 digits of a SIN? It's important to protect these digits and make sure they don't end up in the wrong hands. Never give them to any person who calls you or emails you requesting too many details regarding your SIN. So never, ever, ever give that out. How do I know if I'm a victim of identity theft? Again, credit card or bank information that they have approved or declined. I guess I did that part, didn't I? I don't have a word again. Is it safe to share bank account numbers in Canada? Never share your bank account information just because it's requested by an unsolicited email or call. Even if the call or email appears to be from your bank, it's always best to phone your bank directly to ensure the request is legitimate. What is spoofing a phone number? Phone number spoofing cases the caller ID to display a phone number or other information to make it look like calls are from a different person or business. While the caller information may appear local, the calls are often placed by telemarketers located outside the province's country. And we found a lot of the calls that we get are from other countries, like the spoof calls. There's lots from other countries. The biggest one, I think, is East India. It seems to be down there. A lot of calls come from there. What can someone do with their driver's license number in Canada? Main ID documents such as birth certificates, driver's license, and social insurance numbers can be used to produce other ID and access your personal and financial information. Keep track of bills and credit card statements. So if they do have that, they can make up false IDs and go from there. Can your identity be stolen with just your name and birthday? Just simple details such as your full name, date of birth, and address can be used to commit identity fraud. So they're doing things, say they're smart, they're out there, they've got the machines to do it. Can hackers get into your phone with your phone number? They can use it to steal your phone data, call, SIM, access your social media accounts, and take control of your devices. Here are some ways that hackers can use your phone number. Steal your identity. Hackers can use your phone number to impersonate you and commit fraud. The Service Canada asks for SIN numbers over the phone. At Service Canada, they'll never call or email you to ask for the SIN number or credit card number. Someone may reach you by telephone, text, mail, or email, which claims to be from the Government of Canada, the Service Canada. They may request your SIN or credit card, bank account, and personal numbers. That's about it that I have. Any other questions?
Yes, I have another one. Can a scammer get into your computer if you have a VPN installed?
Anything that you can do to help protect that better, it's hard for them to get in.
Okay.
But that being said, like one day they were shut down, the next day they were back, or the next week they were back up with something different. So they're always thinking ahead. So it is harder. Like they say, get your antivirus, make sure it's up to date and everything like that on your computer. And just as much protection as you can get, basically. So if you got that, it's probably really good.
Yeah, I did put one in.
Yeah.
And I haven't had really any problems since I put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you notice a lot of people say too, my email has been hacked, they'll send it around to all their friends. Don't open anything from me that's been hacked. So if you open something that's been hacked by one, then they can get into all your contacts. And then they can get into all their contacts, so it just spreads out and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And they get that information.
I've been getting a lot of Amazon things that said your account's gonna be closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come in, I don't even open it, I just know
Yeah. The best thing, if you have something like that in the emails, don't open it.
Yeah.
Just delete it. Yeah, delete it right away.
So Neepawa is a pretty good person.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But just, like I say, delete anything that you think shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Don't click on it and see what they say. As soon as you click on it, that gives them access.
Oh,
So just if it says from Amazon, and you haven't ordered anything from Amazon, just hit delete. But if you click on it, as soon as that opens up to see what it says, you've opened your computer for them.
oh, I see, okay.
Yeah. And they go from there.
How do these scammers get into the big corporations with cyber attack?
They have ways that I'm not sure how they do it for that, but there's so many ways, and could be people that had worked for the company before that knows the
Okay.
system,
Okay.
and that the company let them go for some odd reason. That's how a lot of it starts, and then they just snowball from there. Yeah, exclusive from there. Any others? Thank you very much. I hope I wasn't boring you or anything like that, and I'll be sticking around here for a little bit if you have any other questions. If not, good luck, and don't get scammed. Thank you.
30 minutes a day, what I've been talking about the whole time. He went to a geriatric, we're lucky in the city to go to a geriatric rehab hospital twice a week. But they said to him, champ, twice a week isn't enough. You've got to do your homework every day. So when he came home from the hospital in his, I think early 80s at the time, first time needing home care, first time needing a walker. And then we added that, all the supports in the home to make it safer for him, and I'll talk about that later. But then at that time, he couldn't even walk 5 minutes with his walker. He was so out of breath. But every day he tried with his walker safely to use that, because remember, walkers don't make you weaker, they make you stronger because you're able to walk safer. And as he did it more each day, he got to 10 minutes without sitting down. His blood pressure came down, his labored breathing got better, because he did it for 10 minutes, but did it gradually. 10 minutes in the afternoon, sitting in the chair and doing marching exercises. Get soup cans, get water bottles, whatever you have at home. Let's get those arms working, because we need our arms to support ourselves. Arm rests are your best friend as you age. You want those arm rests on every chair, on your toilet. You want them on your chair that you sit in at the kitchen table in your living room, because we need that support to push up. But you need some muscles in your arm and legs to push up. So with that, Dad did some sitting. Sometimes people call it chair yoga. There's different names for it. And then we also needed to work on some balance. So there's different balance exercises, and I have handouts for you if you want to come see them. But there's ones like putting one foot in front of the other. That's challenging your balance. And for him, he was so weak, he couldn't do that. They told him to do it in a door frame so that he could hold on to that door frame. And when he let go of that door frame, his goal was to count up to 30. He couldn't even do 5 seconds without holding on to that door frame for support. The more he did it, the better he got at putting one foot in front of the other, having that safety net of the door frame to hold on to if he did. Everyone can do something a little different. Another common one is standing at the kitchen counter, or if you have a railing, if you live in an apartment block, and hold on to it and lift 1 foot at a time. You don't have to be going like this. I can't do it very long. But you can be holding on to something and lifting 1 foot at a time, and that is challenging your balance. And that is going to help you age better. And when you do the 30 minutes, and you include some strengthening exercises, some balancing exercises, and some cardio exercises, that's walking, you will reduce your risk of falling, which is wonderful because that's the #1 reason older adults end up in the hospital. If you haven't heard the numbers for falls, when you turn the age of 65, 1 in every 3 people will have a fall in a given year. As you get closer to the age of 80, every 2 people in a given year will have a fall. But always remember, most falls are preventable. And one way to prevent those falls is getting your exercise. I always like to go back to my remote control. Because in the good old days, when I grew up, there was no remote controls. And if I wanted to change a channel on the TV, or if I wanted to answer the phone that was on the kitchen wall, I had to stand up. That's a squat. We had to walk. That's cardio to the TV or the phone. We changed a knob. We stood up and had conversations. And then when we walked back to wherever we were sitting, we did another squat. We got exercise changing the channel. We got exercise answering the phone. And nowadays we don't. So we have to think about it more often and try to get our 30 minutes of physical activity in. And you're going to have aches and pains from arthritis or whatever it might be that you have. Figure out what you can. Talk to a healthcare provider. Talk to a physiotherapist or an occupational therapist or your doctor. There's people to help you. Find something that you can do if you have a chronic condition. So the next part is hydration and nutrition. Proper hydration and nutrition will prevent falls as well. One of the leading causes of falls as well is dehydration in older adults, because when we are dehydrated, our blood pressure is lower, and we tend to be very weak, so you tend to fall more. And hydration changes for older adults because we don't quench thirst like we used to. So if you wait until you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. We also have a lot of older adults getting infections, especially urinary tract infections. And one of the reasons can be because they're not getting enough fluids to flush out your system. I work with a lot of paramedics in the city. They recommend Lifeline on a regular basis. And one of their biggest concerns is what they call a long lie time. A long lie time is when you have had a health emergency or a fall and you couldn't get help in a timely manner, and now you're on the ground without help. The longer you go without help, the longer the hospital stay, and the higher chance of you not being able to come back home and be independent again. Our organs need hydration. From your brain all the way through to your kidneys, everything needs hydration. When you're on the ground and not getting help, you become dehydrated very quickly. So hydration. So now we're going to talk about making your home safe. As I mentioned earlier, this is a high-risk area, and we know for older adults, most falls happen at home. We let our guard down. It's our safe place. So there's all sorts of areas in your home that we can talk about. I'm just going to highlight some of them, but I'm certified in fall prevention. That just means I've taken courses, and I can go into someone's home and make recommendations to make their home a little bit safer. But there's occupational therapists. There might be people in home care here that can help you. But I do have a handout and things, food for thought. We've always grown up being proactive is better than being reactive. And making your home safe is being proactive. Why wait to make changes after you've tripped on that scattered mat? Now remember, you're at higher risk of falling now. Your eyesight might be changing, your balance is changing, all sorts of things are changing. You need to make your home a change as well to make it safe. So maybe in the bathroom, is your toilet at the right height? Some are too high, some are too low. Most often they're too low. But you can get different, and one size doesn't fit everyone. So that's why you need to have different heights to make that toilet the right height for you. One of my favorite things are the armrests that go around a toilet. Because when I see people using the vanity beside the toilet and something else, or maybe a wall and a vanity, and they're pushing themselves up like this, you're going to have a sore back over time. And you're putting yourself at risk of falling because you're leaning over so far. I have a lot of clients with Victoria Lifeline that have fallen forward off the toilet. So armrests on a toilet, if you can't get on and off a toilet like me without hands, and you need some support, then armrests would be a good thing to get. Grab bars, your towel rack is not a grab bar. It cannot support you. So Have somebody install it. It has to go into studs. But one that I really like that goes onto a tub, if you have to step into a tub to bathe or to shower, is a horseshoe shape that clamps on, doesn't damage anything. And now you have 2 hands to hold on to something to step in. You're not holding onto a wall to step into a shower. That's an accident waiting to happen. Same with bath mats. If you have one of those rubber bath mats in your shower, it should be hung up every time after use to dry out. They will get slimy, they will get moldy, and they will get slippery. So if you have a rubber bath mat in your bathtub, please make sure it's removed after each bath. Bath mats, less is more. I go into some that have 3, one around the toilet, one at the sink, one over here. It's a fall hazard. So when we go into a home, and if I can put my foot on it and move it, we would recommend it to be removed and replaced with one with a good rubber bottom. Because a lot of us will wash them, right? And then that rubber dries out. 1 bath mat, and for some of you, none. Come on in, grab a seat. You're not interrupting me. I'm fine with that. Front row if you like. I know it's so popular today. And there's room to bring your walkers down along here if you like. So bath mats, 1 would be recommended, but for some people, none. So if you use a walker and you need your walker in your home, which most of you do, but you don't, if you have a cane or a walker in your home or a sight impairment, no bath mat. And the bath mat for my mother-in-law, we ended up putting up over her bath chair that she had. So when she uses the toilet on a regular basis or washes her hands, we remove the obstacles that she could possibly trip on. Because you can only imagine tripping in a bathroom, what your head's going to hit. I've had several people that have actually fallen between the toilet and the bathtub. And when paramedics came, they had to take the bolts off the toilet to get the person wedged out. It happens. We don't plan on that. Furniture. Is your furniture at the right height as well? So beds are way too high for most people. We have these thick, thick mattresses now. So again, when my father-in-law came home from the hospital, I was sharing a story about my father-in-law, we took the casters off all the legs of his bed to lower it. Because you want to be able to sit on the bed with your bum completely on it and your feet flat on the ground. Not sitting on the edge and no tiptoes, because that's an accident waiting to happen for you to slide off. Be proactive. Ensure your bed is at the right height, and there's many ways. Sometimes they're too high, sometimes they're too low. Little armrest. You know, when I see people trying to get out of a bed and they're pushing down and they're trying to get up like this, the mattress is soft. Again, what did we get from my father-in-law? Tiny little bar on the side of his bed. Now he's got something sturdy so he can push himself up. The other habit that I've seen over years, and my father-in-law started this, but we nipped it in the butt right away, is people who have walkers using it to get up, out of a chair, out of bed. It's a bad habit. So if you're in bed or at a chair and you have your walker in front of you and you put your brakes on and you use it for leverage to get up, all walkers can move with brakes on. And that's okay. Because when you're going down this ramp that's here, you want to have a brake on, right? So instead of using your walker to help get yourself up, you should have armrests on your kitchen chair, maybe a bar by your bed, and you use those supports to stand up, then use your walker. Not a kitchen table that you're leaning over all your weight and trying to get up using a kitchen table. Again, your body's going to be sore when you do that daily. Flooring, be careful of different transitions. From tile, linoleum, carpet, whatever it might be. So be careful, the transition strips, sometimes we don't pick up our feet as much. They're a little bit lower because our legs are getting weaker. So you want to be very careful. At home, we also multitask because we're carrying things, or we're walking and talking on the phone at the same time, or we're carrying laundry, or multitasking at home. And we go to turn on a light, and that movement and turning, we just lost our balance. And when we were younger and we lost our balance, we would stumble and we'd be able to save ourselves. Now, our core muscles aren't as strong, and when you stumble, you're probably going to end up on the ground. So let's try not to multitask as much. not have as much clutter in our home, make every room safe. Proper footwear and foot care. Again, foot care. As we age, we can't bend down anymore to cut our toenails. We can't see as well. I go into people's homes, and I know there's other people in home care here, and I can see how long their toenails are through their socks. This will cause a fall, and it can cause infections. So don't be embarrassed about it. I cut my in-laws' toenails for years because they couldn't do it themselves. But you need to find someone to help take care of your feet. Because when you wear proper shoes, which we're going to talk about in a minute, if your toenails are too long, they're going to hurt in those shoes, and they'll make you unstable. So proper foot care is equally as important as proper footwear. When I work with occupational therapists, we recommend indoor shoes and outdoor shoes. That means when you're inside, you have footwear on. No socks. You go from your carpet that you've got a little bit of grip with your socks, and then you go onto the bathroom floor, and now you're falling because you have no grip. No bare feet. My physiotherapist learned that the hard way. She went to step over her grocery bag with bare feet, got her foot stuck in the handle of the grocery bag, fell and dislocated her big toe, and was in a cast. Right? Remove hazards, proper footwear. Outdoors, coming here, but we want a back on the shoes is what we recommend, is that they have a back, not those slip-in slippers, no knitted slippers. Don't invite me over if you have knitted slippers, because they'll be gone when I leave. They're fine at one time, but we're aging, and things aren't the same. So let's be proactive. Even with footwear, I think about my mother-in-law who had hammer toes, and I ended up taking her to get proper shoes that had a deep toe box. And she said, oh my God, it's the first time I've had comfortable shoes. I feel like I'm walking on clouds. So all that time you've had runners on, which is better than a lot of other shoes, but your feet hurt because you have hammer toes and you didn't have the right kind of shoes, right? And that can cause a fall, but also a lot of discomfort. Area rugs, if I meet one more person that says, oh, I don't need to remove that because I've had it for 50 years and I've never tripped on it. Are you going to wait until you trip on that area rug? So area mats should be wide enough, they should be flat, and you shouldn't be able to move them with your foot and not get your foot caught in the corner of it either. So be very careful of area mats, less is more. Night lights. So as we age, the other thing that changes is our eyes adjusting from dark to a light. Some of you might notice it at nighttime driving. I do now. So if you have to go to the bathroom during the night, or you're getting up like I do at 6 in the morning, it's dark, don't turn on a bright light. Because if you have a bright light on and then you go to stand up, your eyes are still adjusting, you'll be dizzy and you can fall. In fact, all of us should be trying to count to 10, 20 when you have to get out of bed, sit on the edge of the bed. I'm trying to do that now too, to get my bearings, to get my blood pressure back to normal after lying down all night, and then get up to go to the bathroom. So night lights are really important, and now they have ones that are motion night lights that I really like. Handrails, 2 are better than 1, so if you're going up and down the stairs, 2 railings is better than 1. If you have a second floor, 2 railings. But even if you have a back landing and you have 2 steps, a railing instead of supporting your hand on a wall. Removing obstacles. When people tell me they can't use their walker at home, and I say, oh yes, you can. There's not been a home that I've gone into that somebody can't use their walker. We might be recommending to get rid of the coffee table so that you can use your walker in your living room to get to your chair safely. But in all cases, you can use your walker even in the smallest apartments. My Auntie Doris told me, no, I can't. And all she did was touch furniture and walls. This works for me. How many times have you fallen, Auntie Doris? It's not working. Last but not least, using the tools when needed. Okay, we're good for time. Sorry, I'm talking fast because I'm trying to get most things in within this time limit. So using the tools throughout my presentation, I talked about tools in your toolkit. I will never be able to tell you all the tools that are in that toolkit, but there are a lot. And I was just talking to the Alzheimer's Society booth here. I've used the Alzheimer's Society as a support. I was 25 when my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I went to a support group at 25 years old. I would never have been able to get through that journey without that support group. I just took another one. I have 4 parents that have gone through the journey of different dementias. I keep learning through the Alzheimer's Society because I do webinars. So just last week, I went to another webinar. My brother is getting diagnosed now, it seems like, with dementia as well. So it's in my family. Things are changing. I always want to keep up on it. And I can do that through their program. It's not just for Alzheimer's, okay? If you have a cognitive impairment, they have so many resources and great programs through the Alzheimer's Society. So don't be afraid to reach out. Great for families as well as the individual. Hearing aids is a tool. You know what I learned on my last webinar? That we can slow down the progress of dementia by wearing hearing aids when we need to have our hearing corrected. Isn't that amazing? Proven results. So if you have a hearing impairment and you're not going to get your ears checked, I strongly recommend you do that. And if you have hearing aids, to wear them. And if you're having problems with them, you got to ask questions, because I've dealt with lots of clients and my father-in-law with challenges with hearing aids. But we keep going back, we keep asking questions, and we keep getting them adjusted. So hearing aids is a great tool. A walker will not make you weak. It will make you stronger and safer. But there's canes, and now we're getting into winter season. I sure hope you put a spike on the bottom of your cane if you use a cane, because a cane on snow or ice is again an accident waiting to happen. I always like to share the story of this gentleman that I saw sitting at a red light last year in the wintertime. Elderly gentleman, independent obviously, going to some store I guess. He walked in front of my car with dress shoes on and a cane in the middle of winter with no spike. I'm so glad he's out walking by himself, but that's not safe. He needed proper shoes on, not dress shoes, something with grip, and a cane that had a spike on the bottom. Would have made it safer for him to be going out for a walk in the winter time. I'm going to have to get that picture larger, but the top corner is a toilet with armrests and a seat riser in that one. The 2 other tools that I'll mention too is things like an adult day program. So I know you have one here. My aunt went to one for 12 years. She absolutely loved it. My mother-in-law went to one to give respite to my father-in-law. So as her condition and her dementia journey changed, but my mother-in-law didn't want to go. And then she went, and then she loved it because she's with other people and she's not with her husband. I can't imagine being with my husband 24/7. But it gave respite to my father-in-law, some time to himself, and sometimes just to rest. And my mother-in-law got engaged with other people. It was a win-win. So adult day programs, you need to know about them, see how you can get involved, and see if that's right for you. Maybe not now, but maybe next year, maybe 5 years from now. Know that they're available for you. Caregiver tax credit. Make sure your family or you as a spouse, because quite often we're taking care of the spouse at one point or another. Caregiver tax credit, know that. Disability tax credit, especially if you are diagnosed with any form of dementia or you're legally blind and some other ones as well. But if you don't ask, you don't get, right? From the government, from agencies, there's lots and lots of help out there. 211. Do you all know about 211? You can all call and use that as a resource. They help all older adults in Manitoba. It's actually Canada-wide. United Way has funded this 211 program. We've had it for years. They speak several different languages, and you can call them and say, I'm having problems getting my income taxes done, mental health challenges, I'm trying to find a doctor. They are your resource hub, 211. So now I'm going to end my presentation with talking about the last resource in your toolkit for today, and that's the Victoria Lifeline button. And it is a tool. Does everyone in this room need it? No? Do some people in this room need it? Absolutely yes, and I know some people here have it. Everything changed that day that I told you about my mother-in-law and father-in-law that afternoon. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law made the big decision. You know, another program is assisted living. And I know you have some great homes here, community living. You're living in your house, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes it's time for a change. When my in-laws decided to move into assisted living, Did they wish they still lived in their home on the lake? Absolutely. Did they miss it? Absolutely. But they always said to me, we made the right decision. But when you're in assisted living or a 55 plus or community living, you're still independent in your suite. Nobody's checking on you. This is not a personal care home. So for my in-laws, what had happened when my father-in-law fell, thank goodness my mother-in-law with a cognitive impairment could still use a phone. My dad couldn't reach, my father-in-law couldn't reach a phone. He was passed out on the living room floor. Even in their apartment, he couldn't reach anything. We also made sure we got a phone for my mother-in-law that had our names written so that she knew to push a button, and it called Jeff and Vicky. So that was a very helpful tool in the toolkit for my mother-in-law. She called us, we got there, called the ambulance, and then blah, blah, blah happened after. But then I said to my mother-in-law, they didn't have Lifeline because I didn't think they needed it. There was 2 of them and they're relatively healthy. And I said to Mom, Dad's in the hospital now, we don't know how long. Did Dad plan for that, Mom? No. So if something like that happens to you, how are you going to get help? If you can't reach a phone, Mom, how are you going to get help? Yell? Good luck. Good luck. And she looked at me and said, does that mean it's time for Lifeline? I said, well, it's going to bring us peace of mind. We call you every day, we come see you every day, but something can happen 5 minutes after we see you, Mom. That's the reality. We're not with you 24/7, no one's checking on you, and you want to be independent. So a Lifeline button is that tool. Better to have it and never need it than to need it and not have it. And my mother-in-law got it. She got it, embraced it, and it was a long time before my father-in-law came home, but now, even though there's 2 of them, Dad's really weak, Mom's off to an adult day program, Dad's recuperating, so he needs a Lifeline button. If he can't get off the toilet, what's he going to do? Yell? To who? Right? So he could push a button. So then also when my mother-in-law went to the adult day program, my dad was protected as well. So there's all sorts of reasons that sometimes couples need the service depending on the circumstance. As far as Victoria Lifeline, we are a local not-for-profit organization. We have been for 35 years. We're a well-known name. I was talking to home care. Everybody knows the Lifeline name. It's a medical help button because we were the first medical help button in the province, and we started out of the Victoria Hospital, right in the emergency room. And now we have over 6,000 clients in Manitoba with Victoria Lifeline service, with people like Michelle and other senior resource coordinators that are so good at installing and educating the service for us. So all of our service is personally done. We are not shipping you, giving you instructions in very remote places, yes, but it's not very many because we have 75 partners in the province, like Michelle, that will help service our equipment and install it. It's not just about wearing a button and plugging in a unit. There's so much more to it. So we have someone personally right here in town that will do that for you. And being not-for-profit, some goes back to the Victoria Hospital Foundation and some comes back to the program right here in your community. We are integrated into the healthcare system. The customer service I talked about already, you have an exceptional Michelle here. And the education, I do these presentations free. I do about 150 a year on these. So they just have me not going out and trying to get people signed up on Lifeline. This is about educating people about remaining independent, and Lifeline's one of those tools for you. And it's always good to know how it works because one day you might need it. And then you'll have that information in your back pocket. So how does it work? You wear a button 24/7, and I can't emphasize that enough, is the 24/7. Better to have it on and never need it than to need it and not have it. So if you were one of those people, or you know somebody that puts it on their nightstand because they won't sleep with it, I will tell you your nightstand will never need help. And your family thinks you have it, and so they think you're going to get help, but you're not wearing it. You might as well cancel. If you're not wearing the Lifeline service, cancel it. It's not worth it. But I'd rather you to understand the value of having it. Because every single day we are helping people. Every day, the faster you get help, the better the outcome. And I just talked to a home care case coordinator here. You don't want to walk in as home care and find someone that's been on the ground all night. I just came from somebody about a month ago that was out with her girlfriends shopping for flowers, came home, and they all had their flowers, but while she was in the floral shop, her words were getting mixed up, and they weren't coming out clearly, and it was getting worse and worse. By the time she got into her apartment, she could not speak. Does anyone know what was happening? Right. She couldn't speak. How are you going to use a phone if you can't speak, right? Thank goodness her girlfriend was still with her, but her girlfriend didn't know her son's number or anything. But anyway, they ended up, the lady could dial her son's number, and the son's like, just call an ambulance, because sometimes we don't think that first. And so when the ambulance came, because she got help in a timely manner, she was in the hospital for a week and came home. And then she got Lifeline, because she said, I was that close to being alone and having a stroke and not being able to call for help. So people think Lifeline's that old commercial, I've fallen, I can't get up, for old, frail people. Like I said earlier, we have people who have MS in their 40s. I have people who've had a car accident in their 20s, a workplace accident. But for older adults, you know, if you're relying on a pull cord system in your suite, good luck. That's false security. Because you might not be able to reach that pull cord behind the toilet. You might not be able to reach the one that's behind the bed. So it's not just for falling. My Auntie Doris, who was sitting on the toilet, 91 years old, so independent. She had her walker in the bathroom and everything, and she had an ingrown toenail that got badly infected. So every time she tried to get up, she couldn't put any pressure on that foot. Nothing. So she sat there, and what am I going to do? She had a Lifeline button, she pushed it. And I came. So I'm going to tell you how the service works now. You wear a button on a wrist or a pendant. I prefer a pendant style to try before a wrist, and I'll show you the reason why. When you have a pendant on, you have the option of 2 hands to push a button. So if I had a stroke on this side of the body, it would be difficult for me to push a button on this wrist. Okay? The conversation I had earlier, somebody came in from home care and their arm was trapped. So they can't push a button on this if your hand is trapped, right? So I prefer a pendant to try first. If you don't like wearing something around your neck, a wrist button is better than relying on a telephone. So I pick my battles, but I always say, let's try this first and see how you like it. When you push a button on your wrist or on your chest, it sends a signal to a communicator in your home. If you still have landline, it will look like this. Now, it's looked similar for a lot of years, but the inside of it has changed a lot, and constantly we're upgrading our clients with new technology, even though this unit looks the same. This is plugged into a landline as well as power somewhere in your home. For those of you who no longer have a landline, we would install a wireless unit. You do not have to have a landline to have Lifeline. People still think that sometimes. So if you don't have a landline, you get a communicator that works like this. You get the same choice of buttons on your wrist or a pendant. It sends a signal to a unit and a live person will say, Vicki, are you okay? If you're able to say something, I'm sitting on the toilet and I can't get up. That's what my Auntie Doris said. She lived in an apartment. The unit was in her living room. We heard her from the bathroom. And they called me. I was at Assiniboine Park. Are you available to see your aunt? Yes. They got back to my aunt and said, Doris, we got a hold of Vicki. She's on her way. So peace of mind, she heard from a live person, help is on the way. And then they kept checking back with her because I wasn't there instantly. My aunt sat on the toilet probably for an hour, but she was safe. And when I got there, I was able to help her up, and I took her to urgent care. Her infection was so bad, she needed antibiotics by intravenous every day. But she never had a long line time on the floor. She never broke a bone because she stayed right where she was, and she got to sleep in her own bed. If she didn't have a Lifeline button, the story would have been different. And at 91, if she would have fallen, she would have been from a hospital to a personal care home. But nope, she pushed a button because she couldn't get off the toilet safely. I wish a client I met had that. He had a neighbor that checked every day at noon. Wonderful neighbor. But he had a bath the night before and couldn't get out of the tub. And When you can't get out of the tub, how are you going to get help? And when the neighbor knocked on the door noon the next day, no answer, he knew something was wrong. 911 came, and here was this gentleman still in the bathtub. Hospital stay, came home, and now he has Lifeline. He could have had his neighbor there instantly if he would have been wearing a button. So we try to talk to you, but people say, but what if I've got a big home and you can't hear me? A lot of people ask also, where does it work? It works on a city lot. So Michelle would do a range test, but your front yard, backyard, and everywhere in your home, a Lifeline will work. So I'm in my backyard taking the garbage out and I fall, or I'm watering and I fall, and I push my button. I won't hear anyone. How am I going to get help? Because when you push your button on our computer, it comes up your name, your address, and who you want us to call. Because when you get Lifeline, you tell us who you want us to call. A neighbor, a family. We call those responders. Just like my aunt, I was on her list. My aunt didn't even have to talk. They knew to call me. So we're not calling 911 all the time. But if you do say, I've got chest pains, or I can't talk, and we can tell, we knew a lady that was choking, we call 911 right away, and then we notify your family that a paramedic has been called. So it's about reassuring until that person gets there, and then if that person gets there and you need an ambulance, we will get you an ambulance. But back to your backyard, we're going to call out Vicky. Vicky doesn't answer. We will phone your home. You don't answer, obviously, because you're on your backyard. You're on the ground in the backyard. We're calling whoever your responders are. And if your responders don't answer, we call 911 because you're guaranteed to get help. We have different buttons. 35 years ago, we still have a button that's still my favorite. One that looks like this, really small, lightweight. A wrist button, those two, nothing fancy. You push that button, and even if you have an intruder, I know it happens in rural areas as well in the city. If you need RCMP, just push your button, say I need the RCMP, okay? A fire, if it's easier than dialing your phone, push your button. But whatever the case is, you wear a button. They're waterproof, so you wear it in the bath and shower. Don't be one of these people that put it on your vanity. Oh, I don't want to get the cord wet. I don't like a wet cord. No, you'd rather be in the bathtub and not be able to reach it and be in a bathtub till the next day over having a damp cord for a little while, right? We have to think about what's smart. A damp cord, you can take a towel and dry it easily. I do want to show you a feature on our neck cords. They have a breakaway feature. This is why they cannot go on a gold chain, because a gold chain, if it gets caught, will choke you. So we have a breakaway feature that it will snap if it gets caught on something. These are how we adjust our cords. We pull them apart to make it shorter. When people tell you, oh, I had a false alarm in the night, or I hate it because it goes all around my body, it's because they're wearing their button down low. And you're not going to have a good experience when this button goes all over the place. You're not going to like it. The proper length of a button is to shorten it to a length you cannot take it off over your head. Above your breast, not between, and not below. So when you sleep, it's not going underneath your armpit. If you want, you can tuck it underneath your clothes. If you're not well, I recommend on the outside, because out of sight, out of mind. But this is the proper length, and you can't take it off. Okay? If I needed to for a special occasion, you would lengthen it, and I have the wrong top on, you would lengthen it and take it off. So, before I tell you about this button, the other thing that comes to mind, people say, well, the one I have that I just showed you, and this one, don't work when I come here, so I take it off. Why? Because you get out of your car or you walk home and you go onto your property and you open up your door to go in and you do a face plant. Oh, my button's on the kitchen sink where I left it. I can't reach it now. Right? Every time I drop my mother-in-law off at her assisted living home, I don't have to remind her to put it on, because she certainly won't remember to put it on. I don't have to remind her, and I know she's safe the moment she walks in. I have people that have had accidents right in their driveway, in their car, in their garage. Because they had their Lifeline on, they got help when they needed it. I had a lady that had this button. This button has more features. We've had it about 15 years. It's our most popular one. This one has 5 sensors in it to help detect a fall. So if you have that substantial fall and you don't move for 30 seconds, you have a very good chance of it detecting that fall if you weren't able to push the button to send a signal for help. So people who are more higher risk of falling, this would be a good button, right? Because it has fall detection built into it. But the longer the button, fall detection's not as good and more false alarms. So you need to wear the button shorter. Shorter is better. But back to another little story. Lady came home from church. She had this button on. She did that face plant. She was unconscious. And her family at one of my presentations shared the story and said, we were so grateful she had this button on and she wore it to church, even though it didn't work at church, because if she didn't, I don't know when they would have found her, right? So it's important to wear it 24/7. So that's called Home Safe with fall detection. Our latest model, I see a couple people here with our mobile button on. We have a newer version that looks like this, and it's called Go Safe. On the go. The ones that I see here today are called Go Safe. They're still a mobile button. For a mobile service, that means it works in your home and out and about in the community, wherever there's good cellular connection. This is 100% relying on cellular connection. So if it's not a good cellular connection, it will not work, okay? If you have a pacemaker, you cannot have a mobile button, but if you have a pacemaker, fall detection is safe, and all of our other buttons are safe with a pacemaker. You cannot have this if you have a pacemaker. This is a mini cell phone. So basically you push the button and now you can talk to us and hear us through the button, and we can find you and call for help and send somebody to help you. All I want to say is this is a lovely button. Some people love it, but some people don't because they don't want to wear anything that big. So it's not about necessarily having protection in the community, because you will get help. Someone will see you on the street. If you're in a car accident on the highway, if you're in a doctor's office, you will get help. But when you're home, in an apartment or in a house, and you're alone, your spouse is out, or your son doesn't hear you and he sleeps in the home but he didn't hear you, or whatever the case, that's where you're most at risk, is in your own home. So the smaller buttons, light and less expensive. But there's something for everyone. The mobile button also needs to be charged every day. So I say to people, if they can't handle that technology, it's not the right button for them either. What I love is that there's options. And there's no long-term commitment. That's the other big difference with Victoria Lifeline, because if you order something over the internet, you're going to have a contract if you don't read the fine line. It's a month-to-month service. Why would anyone get a help button that isn't month-to-month? I don't know what's going to happen next month. So let's do month-to-month. If you have to cancel or change the equipment to something different, Michelle's here for you. If you need to cancel, you return the equipment, you're not charged the next month. So the prices start from $21.95 up to $64.95 a month. The $21.95 is our subsidy program. Being a not-for-profit organization, the Victoria Hospital Foundation puts money aside to help as many people as we can in the community. And for all ages, if somebody qualifies for our subsidy program, the monthly monitoring fee is half price. So normally it's $43 a month, which is about $1.20 a day. It goes down to $21.95 a month. So it ranges depending if you qualify for the subsidy program or not. We have a new item, a medication dispenser. This is one that will remind you to take your medication. And that's something that we ship out. Michelle doesn't have to install. But we notify a caregiver in 30 minutes if that medication wasn't taken. We notify a caregiver that the medication was not taken. Sometimes this helps with not having home care coming into your home, right? If you just need that reminder. I hope you got something from my presentation today that I went over just by 5 minutes. I covered a lot of things, but I hope even 1 or 2 things stick with you that help you as we age, because it's a good thing. Embrace life, Find out the challenges that you have, ask questions, be an advocate, get family involved or a friend, but also accept resources when they're needed. That's the biggest thing. Keep moving, keep putting the hydration in and the nutrition into you, make your home safe, and use resources when you need them. Thank you so much for spending the afternoon with me. We filled up fast, didn't we? And I have a booth here if you have questions one-on-one, or Michelle, I'd be happy to answer questions then. Thank you, everyone.